And then hey, everybody, it's January 15th. So despite the cold weather, it's actually 7 degrees below zero here right now. So it's not even go outside weather. Um, so I'm going to clarify something about the agents gather on the MLS later after our guest speaker. So that way I can kind of clarify what the MLS is. And so, Katie, just so you know, we have I don't know if Casey told you, we have 100 people in our group. So not all of them are here every Zoom. We
Mhm.
posted in our Facebook group so they can watch it on their own time if they're not able to make it. Obviously, it's
Gotcha.
also, the holiday and stuff like that, and then the weather. So
Sure.
we always talked to everybody like everybody's here. Last week we had 20 something people on.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and let you and Casey kind of run it. If you need to share screen or something, let me know. I can make you a co-host and you can do that.
Okay.
If not,
I, no, I don't need anything. I'm just gonna kind of chat and talk and answer questions. I think that's probably the easiest.
yeah. So guys, if you guys want to right now, at least put it in the, questions in the chat. We'll do Q&A later too. I mean, we don't have that many people on, so I'm not worried about it tonight as far as muting and unmuting and all that stuff. So if we had like 50 people on, I'd like take do it in the chat, but yeah, feel free to start in and you know, a lot of our people are, they're obviously all investors rather than so a lot of them are some of them are brand new, so they're
Okay.
gonna have questions about how do you work with how do you work with wholesalers, how do you work with EMD, stuff
Mhm.
like that. Especially we have and I don't know if she's going to come on tonight. We have a former Federal Reserve bank officer who's a transaction coordinator who's got some EMD and GAP people. We have a lot of people that want to loan EMD and GAP that are in our group as well
Oh,
to each
good.
other. So we kind of are trying to build that. It kind of came organically. We didn't plan on it. So I don't know if Gwen's going to be on tonight. She was sick last week, but she was, like I said, she was Federal Reserve. So that's a really good somebody to have. Somebody who's moved around
Absolutely.
that kind of money, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. So she's got a program. We have some forms, and we actually put a process together for people to loan money EMD wise and all that. And she does have a title company she works with just from her background.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure, if you want to obviously talk to people about how that works, because a lot of our people are going to have questions about, that if they loan EMD money, how do they, how they can secure it, if something happens with the deal, if they're a lender. Because if you're loaning EMD money to a wholesaler or somebody and the deal falls through,
Right.
with it going hard and stuff, there's questions about how to protect themselves and
Right.
they have it, you know. So
Gotcha.
feel free.
And where are most people located?
We're all over the country. I
All over
mean,
the.
the only place we're really weak is like Pacific Northwest. We don't really have anybody from Washington to maybe
Yeah.
Iowa. Our first person there picks up in Iowa. We got a lot of the East Coast. We have two in California, one in Arizona. I'm in
Okay.
Colorado. Zeke's
Okay.
who's on right now, is in Wyoming. So we're
Okay.
all over.
Right. But most of your so you buy mostly in your areas, or do you buy all over the country?
Some will buy it in their areas and some won't. Some will buy virtually. They'll buy anywhere across the country. A lot of us are also like I was a private money broker, so I got into this that way.
Hmm.
So I started, I did that. I've been doing that for like 7 years. So I've kind of put this group together kind of over the last couple of years. My partners and I were kind of during COVID in 2020, we were definitely going a different direction than we went now. We put this together as a way to kind of unite some people and during the whole lockdown and stuff, and it kind of evolved from that. We started at 18 and we got 102.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's a pretty good thing. And then we,
Yeah, that's
yeah. So um so it's
And
pretty
there's a
good.
good chunk, Candy, that are from the DFW. Just FYI, because title's kind of restricted to state lines most of the time and county
correct.
lines.
Yeah. Well,
So,
yeah.
but yes, there is a good chunk from DFW and like mostly Texas in this group. There's a good chunk.
Good.
Yeah,
Well, and it's only because when I talk, I'm going to only be talking about what happens in a Texas title company versus anywhere else, because I don't know anywhere else. I only know Texas.
okay.
So,
I mean,
uh,
generally speaking, I'll just tell everybody, that's kind of a disclaimer for if you're doing something in another state, obviously, we need to, yeah. Well, we do have some other people, and obviously, if people are going through like with Casey and his company, then obviously they'll guide us through their title company. I know Gwen's got, I think she's got Nash. We've got a lot of people with her doing but she's just doing the EMD and gaps through them.
Right.
And it's basically the wholesaler comes to her. She's basically directing them to use, her title company.
Right.
They
Well,
basically agreed to her contract. Like
gotcha.
what her agreement like says, hey, the money gets, if it's EMD money, the wholesalers, the lender's getting repaid at the closing,
Right.
on the settlement statement.
Right. Which,
So
in those situations, obviously we can do that too. Our attorney always reviews everything that comes through. For the most part, as far as who your folks are generally wholesalers, correct? Or just
some are
investors?
wholesalers. We also, but like I said, we also have some in our groups that are loaning their own money for EMD. They're trying to do it for Gap too, but Gap's obviously a completely different animal.
Right.
And so we want to, so a lot of EMD, like we have people that might have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. They might just loan the EMD and they get paid, with their return, with their ROI, upon closing or that, right then, that day or two afterwards. So they
Right.
may not be, they may have wholesalers come to them. We don't have too many wholesalers specific in our group. We're trying to recruit more. So like today I put out a thing, we got 100 something people. I want to have 125 what I call general associates. We call it associates program. We didn't want to come up with some cute little name like Gator or something.
Yeah.
So we came up with this program, 125 general associates, about 15 lenders and private money brokers, and trying to get about 10 wholesalers. Got legit good ones that don't cloud titles and do all
Right.
the funky things that a lot of wholesalers are known for.
Right.
So
So
we're
I
trying
will
to
tell
recruit them. Yeah.
we do, and something that Casey and I were talking about is creative finance stuff, that we do a lot of creative finance deals. I know several title companies do not touch creative. I think that we've done a very good job. Our attorney's done a very good job of making sure that people are protected, especially our clients that are coming in, the investors that are coming in. But in general, I don't know how many people actually do creative deals, but and what all different types, because we do sub two, we do novations, obviously owner finance, we do all of that. We actually have one of our underwriters who is insuring wraps now. Previously there wasn't a single underwriter out there that was going to insure a wrap transaction, and now we have an underwriter that does. And something that's different about our title company than most title companies that you work with is that we have 8 underwriters. So if you're closing with, say, a Fidelity or a Chicago or, anyone like that, they've got one underwriter and it's themselves. And I used to work for a national underwriter, and there were great things about working for a national underwriter. One of the really terrible things about working for a national underwriter is that if something happens and that underwriter says no, you have no one else to go to and that deal leaves you. In our case, we've got 8. So and Fidelity is one of our underwriters. If they say no, then we move on to the next one and the next one and the next one until we get a yes. So I think that's super important, that when you're looking at title companies, to see how many underwriters they have when you're doing deals, because that can really save a lot of your deals. And right now, those national underwriters are getting hacked, and it's bad. And they're paying millions and millions of dollars to get their systems back. And in our case, we've been able to save deals that other people couldn't close. Some of these national title companies, because they didn't have access to their systems, they couldn't close anything. So people would transfer their file over to us, and we would close it in 24 hours. Because we are really, really fast and know what we're doing and work, a lot with investors. So that's something that I guess I don't think a lot of people understand about title companies in general. Is it's really important how many underwriters your title company has, how flexible they are working with investors. Oh, yes, we can't get the name of it.
Okay. Yeah. We'll make sure you have that.
Yeah, I'll put that in the chat, my information. And like I said, full disclosure, I am in Texas, specifically DFW. We do have offices in Austin. Another thing that I think is important is when you're working with a title company, to know the number of counties that they're in your state. And I don't know how other states work, but in Texas, we have title plants in different counties. Well, my title company has a plant in 91 different counties out of the 250 something counties that Texas has. So that means that we can affect the title work turn time in those counties. Like, we can absolutely say, okay, we need this title work back this quickly. And that's important when you're doing deals, and especially in Texas, in little counties, because if that title company doesn't have that county, then it could take weeks and weeks and weeks to get title work back. And what, you know, and then you're pushing deals and it's taking people's time and all of that. So another thing to look for in a title company, this is just things that I would do anywhere, is look for a title company that if you are going to go under contract on a property, if they will open the title early on that property. So here, generally, most title companies will not do that, will not open title work early on a file because it costs money to do that. We think it's super important to open title early so that we can start looking for heirs, dead people, you know, divorces, different things like that, things that could be clouds on title, all those things that we can look at those things as soon as possible and get some of that cleared so it doesn't delay closings. So that's
Okay.
another thing that we do that makes us different as a title
Okay.
company.
Yeah, and then it's all specific to obviously to Texas. So somebody asked about that. We thought I got I don't know, I miscommunicated or something. I thought maybe you were national or something, but I don't know if there's anything you can speak about that maybe like at least some stuff that maybe like national, like, you know, some things to look for. Because I mean, obviously we have
That
yeah.
was that if like say she couldn't do it in Texas, like say it was in Tennessee, she had a network she could reach out to. I think that's what it was.
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
for sure have a network. I know a lot of people in a lot of different places. So I will tell you, the great thing about us having 8 underwriters is that I know people everywhere.
Yeah.
And I did work for a national underwriter, so I also have those connections from there. So I can always partner you with someone. That doesn't mean that they'll specifically do exactly what, you know, what everyone's looking for, but I know for us as a company, and I would say that in general across the country, independent title companies are going to be so, and you probably know this, are going to be much more flexible than a national underwriter title company. So I'll, you know, find someone that you can work with that's willing to, like I will tell you, we didn't do creative deals until I came on board to our company. And then I had a specific client that is a national investor. He buys property all across the country. And he was like, hey, you need to start learning how to do these creative deals. So I was like, great, I want to learn how to do this. I want to see how we can help you know, potentially these investors that need all these creative deals to happen. So we got with our attorney and our ownership and really dove into what was going to make sure that everyone was protected in those types of transactions. And I think that if you partner with a title company nearby, and especially an independent one that will be truly your partner, you will be much more successful. But
Cool.
I for sure have connections.
Okay. Yeah, and that's obviously if people are going to be going through with life changing with Casey and Clinton and all them, then they're going to obviously use you or somebody. So, you know, it's as best they can, or somebody. They're going to have people in place for that, especially on the loans and stuff they're doing.
Right, exactly.
Okay, guys. So Kandi just posted her number, guys, and then obviously we'll make sure, you know, if you need to go through there, go through her, we can put you in contact. So anybody have any questions, like any kind of specific? I mean, because these people are going to ask some questions that maybe they're not in Texas, but generally speaking, especially if they're talking about wholesalers or things like that, you
Yes.
know, how to work with wholesalers and the EMD process is kind of,
Yeah, Nate, I've got a question.
yeah,
Back, I asked, we didn't have a title rep last time I asked, but in Texas, the memorandum, I'm in California, so we've got mechanics lien, which I guess you guys have in Texas as well, but I was wondering if you had any, could speak on memorandums and if they have any order, like mechanics lien, you know, supersede loans. I don't think that's the case for memorandums, but if you had any input on that, I'd be curious to hear.
yeah,
So
because it's coming down. Yeah, it comes up a lot in memorandums.
memorandums too.
Yeah, they're starting to with a lot of wholesalers and things that they're doing.
A
So
lot of it is what they're trying to do is be able to put a memorandum on for like a JV agreement in a sense. And so they want to, I'll tell you an example, like we have a loan, they won't allow for a second position.
Mhm.
So they want to be able to put a memorandum in some way to protect themselves. If they
Right.
don't get the second position back, they still have at least a memorandum. But a
Right.
lot of people didn't know like if it worked the same way as like a mechanics lien.
So yeah, we have seen, and it's funny that you said it because we've seen a lot of that recently. I was talking to our escrow officer about it. And, you know, in novation, has anyone ever done a novation deal? transaction.
Yeah, we had one of Casey's guys on a couple weeks ago talking about it. I don't think anybody's specifically done something, and even in my 7 years, I hadn't heard, I saw innovations pop up once in a while where people were
Right.
talking about it. Never done one.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting because in a group that I'm in, that's becoming more prevalent. And in fact, I had an investor reach out to me and say, "Hey, I want to do this innovation deal," and we were talking about it. And I said, "I'm assuming that you're going to put a memo on title," and she's like, "Oh, I forgot about that to do it." So yes, so basically, we treat them. When we're going through title work, that's something that we have to clear off title work. So it's unfortunate because I think a lot of times people don't understand what they're signing when they sign that memorandum of contract or when they sign that initial agreement with an investor. And I'm hoping that everyone's super great and doing everything above board, but we never want, as a title company, we never want anyone to get screwed out of anything, but we've seen several times where an investor who never really had any intention of buying the property did a purchase and sale agreement with the seller, put that property under contract, and then decided not to buy it, put a memorandum of contract on, and then the seller goes back, tries to sell with someone else, and then that memo is there, and they've had to negotiate money, and so it is basically something that we have to clear on title.
Yeah, and that's something that because it's frustrating on my part because I spend a lot of time in different Facebook groups and a lot of the wholesalers. It's the wholesaling gurus teach that. It's like just go ahead and cloud the title, and if somebody tries to back out and stuff. So it's very frustrating. It's kind of trying to educate our people and not to work with people that do that deliberately just to we want people to be honest and above board.
Right.
And
Yeah.
there's probably only one person I know that's even probably at that level to handle that confusion in paperwork.
Oh, really?
I think it's also you don't want to go into it as in your first wholesale deal doing memorandum stuff like that.
No.
It's ones that probably closed about 50 or more that already kind of are ready for the more advanced stuff, because trying to do these like on your first or second deal, even if you had a mentor, they're still kind of taxing on you mentally.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the people trying to do sub-twos and all that too. It gets into some very, outside of the basic that most people, I don't know, so much stuff going on right now in the industry.
Well, and I think the laws, our attorney was talking about how there's specific to Texas, as again, some things that had changed on subject to. And so we had to really go back and look at our documents that we were, and the thing is, when we're closing a subject to transaction, I'll tell you in Texas, at least, and I don't know any other states that if they do subject to, but we don't actually have a title policy. There's no insuring any sub-2 deal. It is pulling title work and an exam report. We clear nothing from title. And then there's documents where you quote unquote close, but at the end of the day, there's no title insurance premium, and no underwriter across the country is underwriting sub-2s. Nobody.
Yeah, and I think the banking industry is actually wising up. The mortgage industry is wising up to that.
Yep.
They're getting ready to do. I mean, I saw something where national conference for mortgages was going to have that as a topic, like how to put these, because especially the Gators and the Pace Morby kind of, this whole thing is subject to, and
Yep.
I don't know. Some of those people kind of are jerks.
Well,
And
and
I've
I
read
will
it too.
tell you, what's sad for us on the title side is when they come to us, a seller comes to us after the fact, and maybe that, and again, I don't know every single person that comes and closes with deals with us, right? And so we had a seller come to us and say, "Hey, this person that we sold our house to didn't pay, and now we're in foreclosure." And I was like, "Well, that's, you've got to look at those documents and really know what you're getting into on those sub-2 deals." And that's what's scary for me for the seller, is that they see the money that they're going to get right off the bat, but they don't see what's going to happen, what potentially could happen if that investor doesn't pay.
Because there's even some people in bigger pockets who are talking about sub-2 as a way we can strip equity. We can take all the equity, it doesn't matter. It's like, wait, you're going to go in there and deliberately do this?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's happening. You know, people are
is
going in
happening.
there. Yeah, and it sucks.
It
And
does.
I think it should be illegal, you know.
Well,
in
and
some-
but I think there are some people who do it the right way. Like I have several that they have every intention, they always pay, you know, all of those things. It's the, you know, the few bad apples. I think there's people who really do try to do it the correct way.
Yeah.
Just a money
Yeah,
grab.
but I think, yeah, I don't know. It's just so much so much stuff is getting too creative, I think, to a point. People seem to like, you know,
Especially when you start getting into VA is sticklers. They're gonna pick apart every little bit. You don't do it right, they're gonna call the note.
Yep.
And
oh, yeah.
they're gonna do it in the most dramatic way possible because I'm dealing with one right now.
Oh,
And I
really?
mean, they're not calling the note, but we're trying to do the paperwork because it was a VA foreclosure from when they called the note on.
Mhm.
And it's not bad or anything, but let me just tell you, we can't even issue a loan without their approval. And the seller's not even doing a VA because they own the property. The VA does. So the VA is
Oh,
yeah, they're like, who's gonna take on the lien? We want y'all's information. I mean, it is 1,000 questions
wow.
taking over the VA property.
So the seller did a sub two?
No, the seller went into foreclosure,
Oh, okay.
seized it, and then they're in pre-foreclosure now.
Mhm.
But they pretty much did a TRO to prevent it from, because we had enough going forward with the loan, enough going forward with the buyer. It was decent enough that we could say, hey, this is going through. So
Right.
they TRO to go through, and then eventually they said, hey, we won't do a TRO. We trust y'all. We see how far y'all's progress is. Like, we don't need to do all this extra paperwork. But he's like, now we want all this extra paperwork because we want to know who's taking the property over.
Right. Wow.
So this VA has its own set,
Smart on their part.
which it's good because it also makes it to where like you can't, because in foreclosures, and not a lot of people kind of recognize this if you're not from the wholesale world, you really are that they're going to sell it for pennies on the dollar. You have a chance to get them enough cash they can go get into a new house. It might not be as extravagant, but it's enough money they can go put a down payment with the FHA at like a 3.5 and be fine.
Right.
So that's what you're doing, is helping that part.
Kandi, could I ask one more question?
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for your time tonight. I appreciate you coming on and doing this for everyone.
Welcome.
The memorandum question I had was not sub two or novation. I've got someone who wants to borrow money and they have a project in 2 states that are not Texas. They
Okay.
want money on those projects, but they also own a Texas property. I'm not entirely comfortable with the other states, but the Texas property I'm comfortable with, and I wanted to put the lien there.
Yep.
Not necessarily the second, but I was thinking the memorandum could just kind of be my fail-safe function to CYA on the other. You know, the money's going to go away
Right.
to other states. I'm not 100% comfortable with those deals, but the Texas property looks like it's something they'll come through on and take care of. So I'd ultimately be protected. I just didn't know the scope, or if there was a limitation of memorandums or a specific purpose, and I was misusing it. I didn't want to. And I know you're not here to give legal advice.
Oh, I can't do that.
Just the general use and purpose and the way people use them was my curiosity to see if that would be a viable way to use it.
Yes, I would. In my experience, yes, it would. It'd basically be just like another lien on the property that we would have to clear on title when it went to sell.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything? Any other specific situations or anything? Because this is a good opportunity.
So you did say that when the purchase agreement's signed, that's the best time to go open up title. That way y'all can start.
Well, so I will tell you, we have people who come to us even before they're just like, hey, I'm looking at this property. I'm thinking about putting it under contract. Can you pull some title work for us? And we'll do it even then before they put under contract.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I will tell you,
helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have not experienced any other title companies willing to do that, but you know, our owners are very different than most title company owners in the respect that they're like, hey, the more information we have ahead of time and the more value we bring to our clients, the more likely we are to get those contracts. So we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that it's that we can help our people on the front end. And I work with a lot of realtors and lenders, and on the realtor side, even before those clients, our realtor clients put those properties as listed in MLS, they'll be like, hey, I've got a listing coming. Can you go ahead and pull title work? And we do. Because, a lot of times, I'll give you an example. I had one of my very best friends, a realtor, he goes and puts a property on the market, calls me 2 weeks before closing and says, hey, y'all missed a second lien. And I said, I'm sorry, what? He said, your title company missed a second lien. I said, we don't miss second liens. It's on the title work probably. I said, did you look at so I call my staff, kind of freaking out. And I said, did we miss a second lien? They're like, no, it was on the title work that we sent out 3 weeks ago. And I call my friend back. I'm like, hey, did you look at the title work? No. Well, you've been a realtor for 10 years and you didn't look at the title work? No. Well, go back and look at the title work and see that your clients did forbearance. They forgot to tell him that they hadn't paid their mortgage in 2 years. And they thought that money just went away. So that deal almost fell through because they were selling that house and purchasing another house. And they had not told their realtor. So what we want is all of the information. And I said, Jordan, who was my friend, I was like, why didn't you open title early so that you would have seen all this ahead of time? We would have known, instead of we're trying to get the second payoff for that forbearance stuff. Because it takes forever, by the way, to get payoffs on those. So in those instances like that, it's like we have knowing ahead of time things that could potentially be on title, heirs, having to do affidavits of heirship, all that stuff. If you have a property that's potentially going to go under contract, just let us know the address. We'll pull the title work and then we'll get you all of the information we can. It's just the more you know, right?
Oh yeah.
But things happen like that all the time. Like they'll be like, oh, title's going to be fine. I was like, you never know. Your clients people have no idea.
Yeah, I think it's important to pull title right away.
Yeah.
I think it's something we talk about too in our group. Is trying to get everything pulled ahead of time. Like as soon as you have something on the market, everything. It's always good to pull everything early. And I even tell people, even before you put something in a contract, have a relationship with your lender. So when you go to make the offer, you can match the lender's terms to your offer, and if the seller accepts it, then you have no problem getting the loan done.
Yeah, exactly.
And I tell people that all the time because I see it all the time when people are like, "Hey, I had somebody call me on Christmas, and they actually texted me, said, hey, I got a closing on Friday, and I need a lender," and I'm like, "You're texting me on Christmas Eve that you got a closing on Friday. Good luck with that. And
Yeah.
luckily it's not somebody in our group. I joke with people all the time. You can imagine what my inbox is like. I've been
Oh,
doing
yeah.
this for a while, and I get I'm all over Facebook, so I probably get 8 to 10 people a day that aren't in the group hitting me up for stuff.
Yeah.
So I tell everybody, just get your relationship, because that's where you're gonna make be a lot more successful, make a lot more money, have a lot less stress.
Exactly. Well, we always
Yeah.
say, it's a team, right? Between the lender, either the lender, the investor, and the title company, or lender, realtor, title company, all of those things. Like it's just it's a team,
Yeah.
and everybody gets paid at the closing table. So we want it to close.
Yeah. So I'm like, sorry, I'll get somebody texting me trying to get in the group, trying to get on the Zoom. It usually happens. We used to do these at 5:30 Denver time, so people are
Okay.
like people are like, hey, are we doing it at 5:30? It's like,
No.
uh,
I will tell you, I'm going to put in the chat also, I have a website that's just my website. It's closingwithkandi.com, and it has resources, has our app in it. So a lot of our investors will go in and use our app for closing costs and to try to get, that kind of information. On our subject to, and like novations and things like that, we do just charge a flat fee, because there is no title insurance involved. We're a flat fee on those. Trying to think of what else. I know y'all don't do very many of those, but
it's something new to me. I mean, case I saw them posted in groups, and I was wondering what they were. It's like notes. I don't like, the notes are too, people are like, hey, come to this note conference. And it's like, I tell people just, you got to be really, you got to know what you're doing on notes. Novations, I think the same way. I mean, it was pretty fascinating when he talked about it, the different way to do novations and stuff, but it's something that I'm not familiar with, so because it wasn't like the lenders that I brokered for weren't doing that they didn't get really creative. They would do flips and rentals, and we got
Yeah.
into some multifamily and storage and STRs and stuff, but nothing really too creative. A lot of that stuff's, like I said, subject to, and I'm really good at, I was really good at seller carry because it was something I was taught in I took a private money broker class with Cogo Capital, and they basically gave me, they went over that with us. Seller carry. They have actually, it's one of the workshops. It's one of the projects in their 4-day class doing seller carry. So they did some of it. They didn't get into the subject to Kenny's on. Cool. That's awesome. I just haven't got him on here. So yeah, we
Okay.
got a lot of people coming on late sometimes. So like I said, we have 100 people. We talk to everybody. It's like they're here.
Yeah, of course.
Some people just join my group because we got a lot of documents and stuff they can just download for educational purposes. So at least they know what they look like when they have to go and search for contracts or things that they need.
Well, that's super smart because we have people who ask us that all the time. Hey, can you look at this? Hey, can you look at this? And I just have to send purchase and sale agreements over to our attorney all the time, and I'm like, what do you think about this one?
I've got like over 100 downloads. I've got like databases too, like hedge funds and family offices that do real estate.
Yeah.
So so everybody in the group gets access to all that. So it's kind of cool.
Oh, that is-
And then we've got, so it's really good. And then we do the Zooms. We do 2 of them a week. I did 196 Zooms in the last 18 months.
Oh my gosh.
So trying to build this up. And then we're doing a virtual platform we're launching in March.
Okay.
And it's going to be like 100 modules, 5 to 7 minute modules. And it's going to be like, I don't know, there's a company called Storm Ventures Group in restoration industry in the storm restoration. And they did it. And they just recently sold their company for like $20 million because they were like literally doing I think it was like $1,000 a month to subscribe to their virtual platform, roofing companies and stuff. That's how I learned about it. So we're gonna do the same thing and all of our associates are free. They're already in it because they already paid for it, but we're gonna be doing a subscription program. And then my friend Danny Skelly, he owns a company called Agents Gather. He just started it. I'll put the text in there for everybody because he's giving premium accounts to everyone in our group, which is great. And he's a realtor from my hometown and all that. So I'll put that in there for everybody's purposes. I am going to cover, guys, after Candy's done. I'm going to cover a little bit of an update from Danny too. But just you guys all need to go to Agents Gather and get your accounts because he's so we can. It's all since it's free. He's comping it.
It's for realtors.
He started for realtors and people and that's on the conventional real estate side. We have opened up the real estate investing side, and he's been
Oh,
on
okay.
some of our chat because we're like, if we can have, you can blog on there, you can have a group, you can have all kinds of stuff. He does SEO and optimization. He's been a realtor for 15 years. I'm in a town where the average, I think I think it just went down under $1 million for the first time, but the last like 3 or 4 years, the average home price in my town is $1 million.
Oh gosh.
So he sells a lot of real estate. I'm from the town where Trey Parker from South Park is from. He
Oh,
graduated.
I was about to ask you where you are in Colorado.
I'm from Evergreen. I'm 20
Oh.
minutes west of Denver, just in the foothills.
Oh, okay. I have
So-
a really good friend in Fort Collins.
Oh yeah, Fort Collins is cool. It's probably pretty cool there to do. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing. And then Danny started this about November. He was doing SEO and optimization before he ever did real estate. So he's also giving everybody SEO, because people go on there, they can do content, they can blog, it's like a social media, they can put groups up. So somebody could be an expert in Orlando and be like, I'm the fix and flip guy in Orlando. Danny will go in and help him with the hashtags and all that, get him on the first page of Google. He's doing all that for free right now while he's trying to get us to bring content. So, and he's got real estate agents. He has title. So I mean, you could go in there as a title and just drop my name, and he'll give you a premium account for free. He's just gonna be charging $15 a month to everyone else. So it's
Yeah.
gonna be awesome. It's really cool. It's really going well. A lot of people in our group are on Google, like first page, second page now. Just
Right.
off of his up. Yeah.
getting on it, Candy. It really throws you up on Google.
Oh, okay. I'd love to be very high. Sorry, my child is screaming. My husband's trying to stop her. I have a 3-year-old. Yeah, I would love to be first on Google when people are Googling title in Texas.
No, definitely sign up. He was doing like a 99 cent thing just to cut down on spammers and stuff.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
smart.
for 99 cents, and then just let Danny know you came through us, and he'll upgrade you to premium, and then he'll even do a phone call with you and figure out what you need to do. And he's licensed in Colorado and Florida, so
Oh, okay.
he's awesome. He's been independent. I mean, he has his own brokerage. He's just himself, and
Yeah.
obviously we've got a couple properties in Evergreen for sale for over 20 million right now.
Okay, I need
So
to
it's a very affluent community.
Colorado.
Yeah, my parents have been here since 1971. So I don't know. Anybody else really have anything pending? Hey, Kenny, how are you? I know Kenny just came on.
Yeah,
I know you
I
want to
have
talk to Casey. Yeah, I know you want to talk to Casey about your deal from last week you talked about. But anybody
oh,
else got anything?
no, I had another question
Oh,
for,
Anthony. Hey.
hey, Nate. So the question I have, does it, do you do pass through, um, for closings?
For on wholesale deals?
Yeah, for wholesale deals.
So you're saying, okay, so like,
Basically, like I don't have to come with transaction funding, to
so
do.
no, most title companies won't do that. So
Okay.
as far as like the A seller, B, and then the B to C,
Mhm,
like B, we
correct.
don't have to do anything. No, both transactions have to close. And I think that's pretty much across the board in Texas,
Okay. All right.
from
And
what I
Anthony, that's
found.
what and Anthony, that's what we got those forms in our files tab. We have the A to
Mhm.
B, the B to C. We have a wholesaler purchase and sale agreement and stuff like that. Has samples, but obviously, if you're going to go through Texas, then you probably just want to develop a relationship with. It's going to be in Texas with Candy, and she can help you with your future deals.
But I will tell you
Okay.
that we do make sure we're very wholesale friendly to where and I even do closings myself. So my escrow officer does all of the what I call the hard work because he's the one that's doing all the curative and making sure that he's talking to the lenders. I'm basically the sales girl, but I have been a realtor for over 10 years. So I do know a lot about the industry and the market here in Texas, and especially in DFW. So in those deals, we make sure that, people don't see what they don't need to see. If that makes any sense.
So blind hugs.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then,
perfect. Okay.
and then especially in closings, we're very savvy in our closings to make sure that everything is above board, and we're doing that. And we don't disclose too much. How about that? I'll put it that way.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking at the DFW to work on some wholesaling down there as well. So I'll for sure keep you in mind.
Well, thank you. And then if anyone ever needs a realtor brain, like I still have my license active. So if you are in the DFW area, I'm always happy to pull comps, look at properties for some of my investor clients. I put properties on the market for them.
Okay.
I don't even, I don't charge my fee because the title's coming through me, right?
Yeah.
So we typically do a really low flat fee on that to just help people, right? Because the more business our partners do, the more business comes into my title company. My bosses are happy, I'm happy, everyone gets paid. So, but yeah, I'm always happy to be a resource for sure, on the real estate side as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually looking for a agent out there to write up because I'm usually doing like a lot of the MLS stuff. So anyone that wants to basically write a lot of offers for me, if you can refer me to
Yeah.
them.
Well, and the thing is I have a lot of realtor partners that, that bring their business to me. So, I'm always happy to the fact that how I met Casey was through one of, the realtors that I work with. She does a lot of commercial deals. She's super great. And she would be a great resource for folks as well. Her name
Okay.
is Samantha.
And I
Awesome.
don't
Thank you
mind
so much.
Samantha out here because Samantha does a lot of commercial, a lot of land deals. So if you're doing land flipping, like like they're different than a house. So
Yep.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Candy is not the same doing a house. different deed trusts, land trusts, and all kinds of things that go into land flipping.
Yeah, and she's
And-
amazing at that.
And on top of that, she's an investor. So she actually is flipping a house. I've seen it.
Yep.
And then so she understands, like, as far as realtors that work with investors, you want one that's actually flipping houses. And that's the nice thing about Samantha.
Awesome. Okay.
And I refer her to anyone who ever asks me about commercial. She's my first referral for commercial for sure too.
Okay.
It-
Yeah. I think I'm gonna probably just stick to the single family right now, and then move up to that later on.
Believe it or not, if it's 4 units and above, it falls commercial. So
Oh, really? I thought it was.
if it's above 4 units, it falls commercial. Because now, does that mean it has to be a commercial lender? No. But does it get scrutinized like commercial? Yes. So that is, even though they might be still residential,
Mhm.
you still want somebody that can look at it in a commercialized, because there's going to be a different set of paperwork, because they know you're not going to live in all 4 units or 6 units or 7 units. I'm doing one right now, 8 units, and
Mhm.
it's being treated like a 400 unit complex.
Oh, wow.
So-
Okay.
but still residential with, like, it's a 4-plex, like 2 4-plexes on a plot.
Okay.
So just kind of keep
Got
that. It doesn't have to be a warehouse. It doesn't have to be a doctor's office. It doesn't have to be a McDonald's. It has to have at least 4 units and above, and it's still single family, quote unquote, but it still falls under commercial.
Got it. Okay. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, that's
We
kind of
also
cool.
do lots of commercial transactions. So we did a $150 million hotel deal the other day.
A nice deal.
Yeah, that was a nice.
'Cause we had one of our associates. I think he's just a referral, but he ended up working on a $4 million deal. I think he closed the Friday after Christmas. So it wasn't the other Friday after Christmas. That was somebody I didn't know. But yeah, it was a pretty nice chunk of change. I like to get the referral fee on that.
Yeah.
4 million.
4 million. Yeah, exactly. Well,
So
any other questions?
yeah, did anybody else have anything or specific?
I
Or-
dropped it in the chat, Kandi. If you want to give that out to the investors, that's my, like, kind of Facebook.
Yes. I'm gonna
Uh,
copy it and paste it to myself.
Oh,
That-
closingwithcandy.com. Is that your website?
That's my website, but I was going, all of the stuff that Casey posted, I'm gonna copy.
And we have some new stuff coming out next week that Clint won't tell us about. They're literally making a whole thing about it, which is actually going to be really, really good. We also are going to start specializing in reverse mortgages.
Oh, nice.
We have a lady coming in to do those. That is all she does. She doesn't touch anything else but a reverse mortgage.
What's her name?
I would be lying if I told you, but I can find out. I know
Here?
she's number 1 in the country with reverse mortgages. I haven't met her yet.
I was just wondering. There's a lady here who she is she's in Texas. I mean, in DFW, she's been doing it for a long, long time, but I don't know if she's number 1 in the country, but she does a lot of reverse mortgage.
From what we heard, she's been doing it for about 20 to 30 years. So,
Oh.
like, she knows her stuff. And then we got some stuff with, like, zero funding coming out. Obviously there's going to be, the pros and cons to it, but we got that coming out. And then one of the things I wanted to mention, and I put it in there, that we just got cleared on, is even if you have 1 flip, you qualify for 10% down with the minimum 600 FICO in Texas on our new fix and flip program that we got out. So typically most investors will qualify for the 10%.
Yeah, I love it.
So,
Yeah, that's a great plan.
and we can go down as low as 5% if they got a 3 plus on the experience 600 FICO. I think they're going to change some, like, requirements with the rehab, but, like, we can cross that road when we get a lead or something like that and go down it and deep dive it. I just haven't deep dived too much into it yet.
It's not letting me copy this for some reason, Casey. I was trying to copy and paste.
Give me a second. I'll just text it to you.
Okay, thank you. I figured you could probably do that.
If
I
it lets me. It. I could put it. I think I put it in the group on Facebook, but let me. If I didn't, somebody just remind me later.
I don't think I'm in that group.
I can invite you if you want to come into our group. Because we definitely need somebody to be there in title. We don't have any title people at all.
Okay.
So I'll say that.
So basically own all those leads now.
I'm gonna be your title girl.
Well, yeah, if you're gonna hook people up, I mean, if you've got relationships in the other states you're not in, that'll help too. Because I mean,
You.
that is a thing. Because I obviously going through the stuff I went through, they used clear title and first dam or whatever. We learned on all their paperwork when we were doing the private money broker class.
Yeah.
But then we were just learning it from the just to know it because we didn't have to have to do anything. That's it, just to kind of see the paperwork.
Yeah.
My first dam or whatever, they have a pretty good site. We didn't deal that they had their we had their transaction coordinators at the lenders that did all that.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a part of a national coaching group, and so we have, I have people from, like you said, Florida, Colorado, I've got California, Arizona, East Coast. We've had to deal because when I was at a national underwriter, one of my clients did, when he was closing national deals, I was helping with those, but that's been a minute. So now I just rely on the people that actually do them in those states. Since we do
Yes,
not.
I'm saying that right now. Let me see. That's our. I just texted it. That's our Facebook group,
Okay.
and it's hidden and not visible. So just send the request.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody here laughs because it takes me like 4 different ways to get people in when they join. Like as
Oh,
soon
really?
as they confirm payment, it's like I have to send like 3 invites and then tag them in the group, and then somehow one of them gets everybody in. It's because we want to keep it hidden and visible because it's built to be a safe place where people can come in and they can talk deals without ever having to worry about somebody stealing it to daisy chain it or something.
Right.
So it's I mean, we have a really good group. I think, we don't get any outside people to come in and interfere. So we're very fortunate there. And everything we're doing now is kind of organic. We weren't going to even getting into some of the stuff we're doing now really until August, September. We just had to do it. It's like all of a sudden it's like all these people from like Pace Morby's group were trying to recruit people out of our group and like, oh, you can come spend $3,000 to learn how to spend $3,000 to learn how to loan your own money. It's like the dumbest thing in the world. So I don't know. We kind of just went this way organically, and now we have good lenders. Obviously, Casey came in and brought Flint and Ryan and all
Yeah.
that stuff. We've got some other good lenders. We got some other good private money brokers too. So we got a young guy too who's just out of college 3 years ago. He came into our program, and 3 years later, he's working as investors and he's helping people buy up to 50 rental properties. And
Oh,
they
wow.
do the investors do the acquisition loan, the down payment loan, and they give them cash at closing, like $5,000 to $10,000, starting out at 2 to 3 properties and up to 50 properties. They're in the Midwest and then the Carolinas. They're expanding, and people get like their goal is to help somebody get 50 rental properties, and it's like a 0% loan for 5 years. They repay the loan at the end of 5 years, so they get all that income and cash flow, and they get the assets after 5 years when when they pay it off. So it's a phenomenal deal. And it's like this kid was just out of college when he started working us 3 years ago. So we've got a lot of people, a client, a student member that came in 3 years ago to the same class that Cameron did, and he's already got $100 million multifamily portfolio.
Oh my
So we've
God.
got a lot of people, we have 13 people in our first group. We still have 7 with us. So out of the 101, so that's a pretty good retention, getting everybody in. So we got a lot of brand new people that are absolutely brand new. And we get a lot of, we get people that have $100 million portfolios. So I think
Well,
that helps too. It helps because we're not like captive to one strategy and one, guru. I tell people all the time, you sign up as a guru, you're kind of locked in to what
right.
they're doing, and you've spent a couple $1,000s, and all of a sudden some kind of deal comes down and you can't take advantage of it. because you don't have in our group, I have a lot of stuff. I have so they can just go and get it out of download it, and they can go look at the videos, and we have this modules up. They'll be able to just go and look at the modules and get the basic information. Then the people in the group are doing it. Everybody gets to know each other. Lenders are on. We have lender, Zooms. We have these 2 a week. So, that way people actually know each other when they start doing deals with each other. It's not like applying blind.
Right.
You print an application, everybody knows each other. So anybody have any other specific deals, or I know we got a couple of things couple that we were working on from last week that we need to connect. I know Casey, I know Kenny's on. I know he wants to talk to you about that Waco deal still.
Yes, and Kenny, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have Clint reach out. It's just been hectic.
No worries. I just know that we have a close date on it coming up pretty quick. So the realtor on it is getting kind of antsy. So
Can you text me the realtor's number? Drop it in
Yep.
a message on
Yep.
Facebook.
yep. Okay.
That's what realtors do. They get antsy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
They do.
tell me about it. Oh my gosh, they want updates every 5 minutes. Like I don't understand how title does it, and they got 2 agents most of the time. Most of the time, I only deal with 1.
Oh.
Yeah. Mine just about drives me crazy every day, and I have to tell her she's got to leave me alone for a while because
So, yeah.
huh?
Oh no, sorry. I was just I didn't go ahead and finish.
No, she just bothers me all day long, which I guess is a good thing, but when you don't have answers to things, it's not a good thing. So
Yeah, so Kenny's in Waco.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so
yeah,
he
just
might
down
be
the
a
street
good.
from me.
Yeah,
Well,
so
we
he might.
we close in Waco, so
Good. That's good to know. I have a couple.
We're
I
not
have a few deals. Yeah.
good. And I will tell you, a lot of times people don't realize this, but when you're looking at title companies, if you're not looking at the escrow fee, and I don't know if this is the same in other states, but escrow fees are obviously the title insurance policy amount is set by
Yep.
the Texas Department of Insurance, right? That's set across the board by the Texas Department of Insurance. But we've seen title companies locally here that are charging escrow fees of $600 to $700, and
Yep.
our escrow fee is $425. And I think
Yep.
it's nuts that those people are charging so much.
Well, and then of course you have the issue with title here. If you throw them a sub 2 deal, or you throw them creative finance deal, or whatever, and you add a PML or a PMP in there, they really get confused.
They don't know what to do.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we've closed several down there for folks. I've closed in Austin. We've closed El Paso. I mean, we just, like I said, because we are licensed in so many counties, my folks can close just about anywhere.
Good to know.
I used to do a lot of business in El Paso.
Did you really?
I was the county fire chief for Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Oh, yeah. So, yes.
I bought a truck in a El Paso dealership. Things like that. Yeah, I liked El Paso.
Oh, I do
So-
too. I've driven through there many a time I used to live in LA, so I would drive back and forth from DFW to LA. And that
Yeah.
was
It's been a while though. It's been 20 years since I left. I was actually 300 firefighters under me when I was 31 years old. But, yeah. So Kenny, get with I guess Ryan. I mean, Clint will reach out to you, and that's a good
Yeah.
deal. So you
Yeah,
get
no
that deal
worries.
done. And then like
Yeah.
I said, we'll connect you and see if you want to, start working with Kandi on your closing, because they can do a lot of stuff that a lot of title companies don't do.
Yeah,
They do
I've
flip out.
noticed that.
It is like blowing stuff up when you send something to a title company that's never done anything like. It's like, I know.
well, we had
Well, you mentioned a PML, and they're like, "What's a PML?" They're like, we can't do a second position. I'm like, "What do you mean you can't do a second position? It's done every day."
Yeah.
So,
Well, and the thing is, and I will tell you, I mean, I saved a deal from someone that they called their title company, like, we need to do this type of transaction. They're like, we never even heard of that. And so thankfully, they called another investor that closes with me, and they're like, hey, this title company has no idea what I'm talking about. And I'm like, just call Kandi. She'll do it. Just go call Kandi. So, and we figured it out. So, but it was just,
Cool.
it was a deal that, I mean, there's just, a traditional title company isn't going to know some of those things. They're just not, they're not going to know what to do or the paperwork involved. And quite honestly, if they don't do it correctly, they could potentially be putting liability on not just themselves, but you. So
Well, I've had a couple that have been closed with not to throw Alamo under the bus, but I've had a couple closed with them where they didn't, they did a title search and they didn't find the lanes, and it came up when I pulled a draw request. It pinged, 2 lanes, and I went back to title and I said, wait a minute, you you should have found these lanes. Why didn't you find them? And they're like, well, and gave me 15 different excuses. So it's kind of frustrating on the investor side when we
Sure.
get blindsided by things that we should not get blindsided by.
Right. I agree. And I will tell you, I think theirs is one of the ones that their escrow fee is like $675.
It is.
And that
Yep.
is nuts to me. I mean, I've had 2 clients say that they're never closing over there again. They're like, my clients would have saved almost $300 closing with you.
Most title companies, I will say, not to throw anybody in Waco under the bus, but they, I've lived in Dallas, I've lived in Fort Worth, I've lived in bigger cities. So this small city title thing gets annoying after a while because either they don't know what they're doing or they want to charge you fees, or I sit down and I've gotten to the point where I have my agent that sits right next door to me, sits right next to me. And her job is to read through those documents with me to make sure that I'm not missing stuff. And there's been a couple different times that I've refused to sign until it was fixed.
Yeah.
And they get upset about it. I'm like, but it's my name. So
Right. Correct. It's you. I don't blame you. I mean, and everybody, I don't know. And I will tell you, we're not the biggest title company around. We're not. We're actually very small. We're very, what I guess we would call us a niche title company, or boutique, but we are the #1 title company for the Texas Department of Transportation. So, we do about 95% of their title work for the Texas Department of Transportation, and we can see when right-of-way deals are going on and what's happening and, across the state. So it's kind of neat too on our end because sometimes people will be like, will call us and be like, hey, we've got this, we think there might be a deal or right away or something happening or development, and we can know it ahead of time. So we've also got that going for us. And there's a lot of development.
I think it's about knowing that you can trust somebody, to be honest with you.
True.
And that's, when you're signing 4 or 5 deals a month and you're over $1 million on those 4 deals, you like to know that title or somebody has your back.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, my relationship with my realtor is, she doesn't know my deep dark secrets, or she doesn't know deep company information or whatever, because I just, it's the one thing, small town, Waco board, they
Yeah.
do what they want to do, and oftentimes you just get a slap on the wrist. So
Yeah.
I learned to vet my people that I deal with very carefully.
Good. Well, come close with us now. You're gonna save yourself some money.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly. Yeah, and title companies, I mean, we had a situation just in my town with a normal transaction. Just one of a lady bought a property, and the previous homeowner, there's a park next to it, and the previous homeowner was letting people use their property. There's a creek, a river goes through it, and she was letting them use her property and disclose it to the new homeowner. So she moves into the winter, and all of a sudden, people are using her property as like part of the park. She just went through a 2-year battle, and the county finally they finally paid her $250,000 just to buy a small piece of where the people were calling it the
I
beach.
saw that, and
Oh,
that was like, she basically was forced to sell her property to the city just so they could have 20 feet and call it good.
Oh my gracious.
well, Casey, it's blown up from there. This is a friend of mine, and Danny actually tried to help her a year ago. They just found cameras pointed at her house that the parks and recreation districts in our town put there, and they illegally put cameras pointing at her house, and her house is up on a hill, and the park is down below, and they were pointed at her house, not at the park, and it just blew up last week, and now there's a huge thing, and she got $250,000 from the county to buy the land and stuff, and that was, I mean, literally she built up a social media following of like almost 500,000 people on her Facebook group.
Oh yeah,
All
go.
and they did the board meeting last week for the Parks District, and it was like there were so many comments. They were actually like banning people. Now the Parks District's in trouble for violating people's First Amendments.
I
This
was
is the
about,
town I grew up in. I mean, I was 3 years old. I learned how to swim at the pool owned by that Parks District when I was 3 years old. So it's like in my hometown. It's just kind of fascinating watching. But she built up this huge social media presence, and people are just all over the world. And so, she's suing the previous homeowner right now over not disclosing that. The people were using the land as part of the park. But they got threats. I mean, there's like she has videos of like people like give her the finger and stuff like that, and children and stuff. It was horrible.
that is awful.
Oh no, it's horrible. It's her Facebook page is up and all that. She just moved to the town. She wasn't even. She was from Denver. She bought her dream house, and it turned into a nightmare.
Oh my
And even
gosh.
a year ago, they were even trying to put her in jail for contempt of court. And she ended up working. Now she won. She beat the county. They gave her a $250,000 check like a week ago.
That
Finally,
doesn't seem like enough money.
I don't know. She's happy with that, but I don't know. It's just a small piece of land where the creek is. People were like, which is ridiculous because 1,000 feet down, the creek goes to a 500-acre park that is a park, and the water where she's at sometimes can be rapids. Down there, it's like calm. You can put children can go out there. It's safer. So I
Yeah.
don't know why people like using. It's obviously they built a park with a playground and all that stuff. But yeah, you got into some serious stuff. So I tell people that make sure because I don't know if that's something the title would find, but obviously the homeowner and the realtor didn't
It
disclose that
disclose.
that people
Yeah.
are using their property as a part of the park.
Yeah, I don't think it would come up on title work, but for sure like you said, the realtor should have just, if the realtor knew, she should have disclosed. She should have encouraged her client, her seller, to disclose that.
Yeah, they
Now
just had it
that's,
open.
that's yeah, and that's kind of the issue here. In Waco, not every agent discloses everything, including floodplain. And yes, and I walked away from a property that was on a floodplain. After I had researched it and went to MCAT myself. But a lot of the agents, not to throw them under the bus, they're more about that paycheck than they are about protecting their client, or the seller's agents they'll refuse to give you a seller's disclosure. They'll literally drag it all the way out. Yeah. They'll drag it all the way out. They'll say they don't have one. They say they can't find it.
A seller's
Whatever
disclosure
it
is not
is.
that hard.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, down here, you do it, you get a slap on the wrist. DFW, you might get more consequences, but Trek doesn't even play up here in Waco. They could care less.
That's so sad.
Yeah, that's why I'm ready to do properties in DFW.
Okay, well, we've got some here.
Yeah, I need to.
And we got a
AC
new
can help me with that.
and Kenny, we got a new guy in the group that joined a couple days ago, and he's a wholesaler from Dallas. So
Really?
I'll introduce him. He's not on tonight. I'll introduce him when he comes on. So we got some new people from DFW. I think we've actually got a couple recently from Texas. So that's a pretty good thing. So
Yeah.
that'll help you. He's got some good properties too, it looks like. So yeah.
Hey, have you ever discovered documents that were over 100 years old attached to a property?
Oh,
Yes. Mhm.
I just think those are pretty cool when you go pull something and it's dated like 1800s.
Yes. That is pretty cool. It's interesting too, like some of the title work that we see in the deed restrictions from way, way, way back. Like it's scary, some of those deed restrictions and things that you see on there, and that we're like, whoa, no, no, no. But yeah, it's interesting, like that just when you pull title work and see, especially on those really, really old properties. There's some that we see where it's like, I hope no one on this group ever uses a quitclaims deed, especially in Texas, because we should all know that those are not valid here. But man, we have seen properties in the last 2 to 3 months. Can't tell you how many times I've seen quitclaim deed to quitclaim deed to quitclaim deed, and I'm like, what in the world? What in the world? And trying to clear that title is really, really difficult, and it's always on like properties that are like $20,000.
Mhm.
And there's,
We talked about last week because a lot of people are are like, hey, I want to go get these properties are like 50 grand or 75 grand. It's like, St. Louis, when I went through Lee Arnold's program for the private money broker, they also had a lien abatement program. And they were talking about how they were getting properties in St. Louis for like $1,000 from the city of
Yeah.
St. Louis. And it's like, you can't go do anything with those.
no, there's
Better,
nothing.
it's all, yeah, you can't,
And we're having to tell people like, listen, this deal isn't going to close because this person who did this quick claim deed to this person is dead. And then this person to this person is now, this person's now dead. And there's no way to find all those heirs. There is no way. Like the only way that's going to close is with, now, can we close it without title insurance? Sure. Do we want to? Absolutely not. But that's the only way you're going to close it.
exactly. Yeah,
And
that's,
we don't ever recommend, I mean, it happens, right? There are times where there are people who are like, well, I don't need title insurance. And I'm like, ugh, okay, good luck to you. If you're gonna live there for the rest of your life, but
all
I
right.
never-
So another thing is we have like people that are absolutely brand new that haven't even done a deal yet. And so I don't know what advice would you have for somebody who's just they're because we've got like maybe 10 people in the group that are just they're coming on board, they want to do this. We got them away from fortune builders.
no. Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say that on the video.
No.
But I don't know, because we got like 10 people, in our group, and they're just brand new, and I want to make sure they get off to a good start when they have to work with title agents and title companies.
Well, like I said, it's building the relationship and as Kenny said, building the trust and knowing and asking the questions, what type of transactions are you comfortable doing, And like somebody asked before on the wholesaling side, do you do the blind HUDs? All of these different things. Like I would really talk to that person. And also I will tell you that something that differentiates us from everyone else is also because I have a realtor brain is that we help with like farming. So for instance, our company has a farming software. My husband's our director of technology. He teaches people how to go farm neighborhoods and look, and we have a program that can tell you how much equity is in a property and all of that. What their interest rate is on a property. So we help not just realtors, but lenders, investors pull these lists. And it's just people who are going to bring you value and be in the business of helping you build your business. That's how we do it.
Yeah, and we do it like 2 or 3 times a year. I'll pull a couple of HUDs out of and then show people for the first time, if they've never seen one before.
Yeah.
Because it's probably something totally, I tell them it's a lot different than when you buy your own house.
Right.
Because, people, especially, people that are brokering money for lenders, private money brokers have to know where their broker fee is and things like that, and making sure they see that before the closing so they can make sure they get paid on it. Because that's
Right.
something we teach in our thing. We do a private money brokerage stuff, so people can not just work as an affiliate with Casey's company, but also with 6 or 7 other lenders, brokers, and making sure that people know how to make sure they're getting paid. And especially now we got EMD loans, especially with that, making sure, hey, if you're going to loan $2,000 in an EMD, you're getting repaid on that B2C at closing.
Correct.
Making sure that you get that taken care of so you get your money back.
Right. And I will tell you, when you're partnering with a title company, it's not just a sales rep, because it's funny because people are always like, oh, and I say closing with Kandi, but no one's actually closing with me. I'm the sales rep. It's the escrow officer, the person that's doing the work. I am so very blessed that the escrow officer that I work with has been doing it for over 10 years. He is a badass, excuse my language. Like he knows everything inside and out, and he has the same customer service goals that I do. And so, I think it's really important to get to know that escrow officer and build that relationship, not just with a salesperson who's going to potentially help you and bring value and resources, but then the escrow officer on the back end and, talk to them about and setting expectations. Like when are you wanting your HUD? Like we guarantee at least at the minimum 24 hours in advance. Typically it's before that, but of getting a HUD to people so that they can review and make sure it all looks right. And just,
You mean you don't do you mean you don't send it out the same day? I mean,
we really try not to.
Alamo sends it out about 2 hours before you close, and you're like, okay, that's great. Let me try to get a hold of the PML. Let me get the wire sent. So yeah, it's refreshing that you at least send it out a day and ahead.
Yes, we really, really do. I mean, and occasionally it depends on also the lender. A lot of times people, it's so funny. I get I tell people all the time, it's always the title company's fault, even if it's not the title company's fault. And this, Casey, is not to throw lenders under the bus, but sometimes it's the lender that doesn't get us the stuff. And we're like, there are people are asking for their CDs or things like that. And I'm like, hey, we don't have it. Like we're waiting on somebody else, you know, like, so that's why I say it takes a team and a really good team of people working together to get to the finish line. But yes, we want to make sure that everyone gets the information ahead of time. They see, we do closing confirmations 24 hours in advance of when, where, how much you're bringing, wiring instructions, all of that.
Yep, that's important. That's why I always tell people, you know, like 24 hours advance, you should get a copy of the HUD or the settlement before that, so you can go through it, make sure everything's right. Because we don't want any surprises.
No. No, we do not like surprises.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know. We got a few new people. Let me see if Anita or Pippa, do you guys have any questions? Either of you, or Sean? Anybody here that hasn't asked one yet? We just want to welcome also to Anita and Pippa are both new. So, well, everybody remembers Pippa was on last week. She was on a guest. Now she's up. She joined last week, and then Anita joined over the weekend. So just welcome.
No
Okay.
questions at this time, man. Thanks.
Okay, cool. I just like to make sure we usually ask a couple of times. I'm pretty good about making sure everybody kind of gets an opportunity to, hey, what are you working on? What are you doing? What do you need help with? And then guys, remember that we have this lender takeover is going all the way through the 31st. We got 5 more sessions. And then in February, we'll do resource takeover. That's why I'm going to go through all those things I was talking about earlier. We're going to go through and show everybody the key essential documents and analyzers and things we got that you guys can, and try to match them up to your specific needs. So if you're doing buy and holds, we got a buy and hold analyzer. If you're doing short-term rentals, we got a short-term analyzer in Excel. Awesome. Then you can actually do furnishings with it as well, which is I have the only short-term rental analyzer that actually does furnishings and even gets into some of these. Like if you're going to supply your Airbnb people with shampoo and you know, all that stuff, you know, it helps you plan and budget for that as well. So we're gonna do that resource takeover. Then March is going to be all rehab scope of work contractors, because these are the 3 biggest areas people need. They need to work with, you know, lenders and title companies and all that insurance. They need to get resources, documents, know how to put their back office and front office together, and then know how to work with contractors, how to value your rehab so you don't go over budget. You don't under rehab, and then you're basically getting properties sold around you, and you don't over budget, so you're putting in granite when you should be putting in like fake granite. You know, go to Home Depot and get the stuff they have that looks like granite. That's like a third of the cost. Things like that. So we're gonna go over 3 months, and then guys, then the virtual program will be up. It'll be 100 modules. I'm gonna build them over the course of the year. They won't be up there right away. We're gonna do it as we go. So that way everybody has input and stuff like that. That's gonna be a pretty cool program.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then and the cool thing is when everybody here paid, you know, they paid $3.99 for life. So they also, you know, will get that for free, but they'll also get revenue sharing kicking in next year. And so we're gonna have a subscribers obviously come on, and we'll have monthly and annual, and then we're gonna take a third of our revenue and we're gonna basically kick it back to our associates. So about 100 right now, 101, but we're gonna cap it at 150.
Okay.
So people might actually get money from this group.
Everyone likes
So-
money.
Well, no, we're gonna kick that in next year. We're gonna have hosts too. People can come on and host like a course or something, and we're gonna put that on Agents Gather. So through LearnDash. LearnDash is a cool program that does. You can even do quizzes. You can do like 2 or 3 questions at the end of each module, because people learn in different ways. And sometimes quiz, you know, we're not gonna be like, hey, essays like college, but like, hey, here's a couple true and false or multiple choice. At least making sure the answers are there for people. People learn in 2 different ways. So
Yeah.
we're gonna have people that are hosts, like subject matter experts. We'll have 2 or 3 people come on and do their own. Like I'll cover the 5 to 7 minute modules with some people that are in the group now, but then we'll eventually have subject matter experts that'll come in. They'll actually 3 of them. I'll try to get three experts. So if there's three people that have done multifamily, they've been there, done that, they got the receipts, they're successful. Nobody's theoretical, nobody's in theory. Everybody's successful. They can come on and talk about how they did these multifamily deals or short-term rentals or ground up new construction, whatever. and we're going to get into a lot of, we've got some securities attorneys and real estate attorneys that want to help out as well. So we can send a lot of business to them because when people start getting into syndications and things like that, they need to have a securities attorney. So we got like 5 or 6 of them that are pretty good, that are really good. So they're all geared towards the smaller, real estate investors, the new people. So we've got some really good people that we're going to be working with.
Nice.
So I think this is the only group that I've ever found like this, and it just like it happened organically because we were just like trying to get through COVID, like everyone else. Like we got to realign what we were doing, and
Yeah.
it ended up coming to this group.
I love it.
We have 196 Zooms later. Okay. So anybody have any questions, guys? I mean, we're probably got about an hour and a half. I know it's like eight. I know it's late on the East time. And actually, we're actually too. Just we're actually international. We actually have Helena McDonald in Melbourne, Australia, who was at our
Oh.
first 2 years ago. She's awesome. She's really cool. I always forget when because she calls me like 4:30 in my time in the morning because she's calling from Australia. We got a lady in Pakistan who's actually from Dallas, but she's out there. Her family's there, and then we have a guy in the United Kingdom. So
Okay.
we actually have a couple people. And then one of our associates will be going over to Israel. He used to be an IDF medic. He's been since October. He's been trying to get his paperwork together to go back to the IDF and be a medic while they, because they're definitely in demand right now over there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So he's a former IDF medic and soldier and all that, lives in here. So we can go over try to save some lives. So yeah, we're international. That kind of happened too organically. And then I actually have a friend who's a realtor, believe it or not, in Iraq.
Really?
Yep. He actually has sold. Yep, he sold a couple of houses that used to belong to some of Saddam's generals, because they're now in private hands. Like you can go into what that green zone area is, and it's somewhat safe still.
Yeah.
Even though because they still have a lot of government control there. But yeah, he actually showed a picture. And there's a guy who's a general, and he had marble floors and all that stuff, and he was like, it was like almost $900,000 US.
Wow.
So he's a friend of mine. He's pretty cool. He used to be an Iraqi military officer.
And
So they do things a little different though.
yeah, I can imagine.
I'm sure when you go to the title company, hey, this guy got like sent to the Hague. That's why he doesn't own the house anymore. I don't know. Yeah, so we usually go about an hour and a half. So anybody have any questions? Because like I said, man, we've gone almost an hour and a half, and that's pretty good. So I'll post I'll process the video on Zoom and then on YouTube, post it on YouTube, post it in the group tonight, and then I will post it on Agents Gather as well. Guys, remember also Agents Gather, we have a video group, so all the videos are in the videos group there. You can just watch videos and they're clean. There's nothing else there. There's no scrolling, nothing, just the videos. So I set that group up. I posted the link. If you guys need the link, let me know. I'll post it again in the Facebook group. And then like I said, definitely join Agents Gather, everybody, because like I said, it's a lot of stuff's going to be going over there. It's cleaner, and Danny will build stuff for us. So Mark Zuckerberg won't build for me. That's a big advantage. And you guys can get on the first page of Google. I mean, literally, Danny will get you on the first page of Google. So if you're doing deals in DFW or Orlando or wherever, you could be the expert on there, and you're getting first page of Google. So if somebody looks up, hey, I need a hard money lender in Orlando, you could be that guy. And that's all free. He's just exchanging that for until he's too busy where he can't do it or he can't keep up. He's doing that for free to help get content there. So if you guys go and put like one blog a month, he'll give you SEO and optimization for an exchange.
Yeah.
So, yep. So
Yeah.
definitely appreciate your time, Kandi. I appreciate and I sent you that invite, so make sure you try to get in the group because then maybe
Oh,
we got a
yes.
lot of people in Texas, a lot of people that could definitely work with you.
Okay.
And that'd be
Okay.
nice to have a person. I know Gwen also does a lot because she has a title company through her that she works with on the EMD side and all that. But
And where
yeah,
is she located? Did you tell me where she was located?
she's in Georgia. She was in the Kansas City branch of the Federal Reserve, which has Denver and Omaha as well.
Right.
My business partner Kevin knows her. Kevin's from Kansas City, And so they knew it. Kevin actually got called in one time to the Federal Reserve back in 2010. It was something they called everybody in after the housing crisis. He's like, "What am I doing at this meeting?" And he met Gwen there.
Okay.
And so he's known her since then. And Kevin's family's really big in Denver, in my area. They owned, at one point, they just sold all their dealerships. They owned 9 car dealerships like Chevrolet, Toyota, Jaguar, all that. And they owned they owned one office park complex that had over like 40 buildings that were all 500,000 square feet each. And they owned the land where the Cardinals Mall is. And they just sold all that, but they kept the land for the car dealerships. So the car dealerships are still, the company that bought them are still paying them for the land lease.
Yeah.
They just sold their dealerships for like $400 million. But yeah, I bought a car from them in the 90s. But yeah, Kevin's family's pretty, they're pretty well into automotive and malls and office parks and stuff, real estate. His cousin owns like 250,000 acres of commercial like land, the open space and all that. He's donated over 50,000 acres to open space. So
Oh.
they're pretty well off.
Yeah. They're set.
Well, they came out. His uncle came out to Denver in like the 1960s and set all that up. And his dad had the very first training center for mechanics for General Motors after World War II. So they've been in tight with General Motors since World War II,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. They're like a legacy family. But yeah, anybody have any questions? Anthony, Kenny, John? Cool. I appreciate your time, Kandi. Thank you.
Thank you, Kandi.
Happy to be here. You're
Yeah.
welcome. Yeah. Happy to help anytime for sure. Thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
hopefully we'll send you some business and we can
Thank you,
yeah, we
Kandi.
got a lot we got a lot of people.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, guys.
Let's-
I will see everybody Wednesday, same time, 5 p.m. Denver time, 7 p.m. Eastern. I have to figure out what time it is in Melbourne.
Oh.
Because that's my problem with Helena. I love Helena. She's awesome, but it's like sometimes it's like, really, do you realize that it's like 4:30 in the morning here?
I would
was
not be answering my phone.
I always ask her how the kangaroos are doing. She's from Australia. It's just, yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna take it out the recording. If you got anything, hit me up, messenger, text. You know where I'm at. I'll see you guys Wednesday night.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Okay, cool.
Bye.